Hello, everyone. Welcome or welcome back to Dirty Martini. I hope you're doing well and I hope you're having an amazing day. Divas, do I have a story for you today? And unfortunately, as much as I want it to be Connor, the story, it is not. Because, Divas, honestly, I should have recorded this episode 3 hours ago instead of leaving it for midnight, considering that I have to wake up early for work tomorrow, Sunday. And yes, literally leaving it for the day before I have to upload it. I spent so many hours after work just looking at Connor's story and Hudson Williams' edits on Instagram. And yes, I've been unable to delete my Instagram simply because of this. And I was telling myself, you know what, I'm going to study for my exams and I'm going to push back watching heated rivalry until after the exams because I know I'm going to be obsessed. Because the second I got to know the premise of the plot line, I was sad. I was sad. And the way I'm halfway through the first season, the way it is executed so far is just beautiful. Like the cinematography is just outstanding in my opinion, and the visuals, and I don't mean just the visuals, I mean the visuals and the acting, chef's kiss. And I honestly am happy I'm getting into a heated rivalry only after the entire season came out, because I would not have the patience to wait for the episodes to drop one after the other every week or whatever the release schedule was. So I really should have waited, but I just simply could not. And the thing is, what's the thing? What is the thing I wanted to tell you? I forgot. I forgot. Oh, whatever. I guess we have the next 1 hour to figure out what it is that I had to say to you. But let's just say I am obsessed and I cannot wait to finish all the episodes. And the thing is, I already kind of know what's going on because of all the edits. Because, like once you like one or save one, they obviously just start feeding you that, which I'm not like disappointed by. But yeah, let's just say your girl's hooked. Anyway, so today, guys, obviously, we cannot have an episode every other month or every few months that does not concern a terrible trip I had. And mind you, this I literally had to take notes down in my notebook so that I can tell you the story. And I know, guys, you probably are sick and tired of hearing me retell the same story in a way, like the same destination from A to B every single time. But it's just like, how can I not share that with you when this literally was one of the most traumatizing experiences of my life? And I feel like every single time I'm like, oh, you know what? I've experienced it all when it comes to traveling this route, and nothing could really surprise me. And then the universe just is like, are you sure about that? And I feel like at this point, I don't want to put it out in the universe. I don't want to manifest it, but I genuinely feel like I'm cursed when it comes to traveling. When it comes to me traveling from the Netherlands to Bulgaria or from Bulgaria to the Netherlands, every single time something just outrageous has to happen, to the point that I'm like, is this really my life? Or is this a reality TV show? Is it a thriller? Is it a horror story? Is this a sitcom? Because at this point, we've reached a point of, are you laughing at the situation or are you crying? And there is no in between. And at this point, I have chosen to laugh because if I start crying, I will be unable to stop for eternity. But the thing is, this time around, so obviously, as you got to know, like I will tell you my story, the trip I endured basically when I was traveling from Bulgaria to the Netherlands. Now, I don't know if I should perceive this as metaphoric of this is all the trials and tribulations of what it is to move abroad and blah 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 blah. No, this is just life fucking with me to the point that because I always say, oh, like everything shitty that happens or everything that I'm like suffering through but then laughing at is just content for the podcast. And I feel like the universe is taking too good of a care for me to have enough content for the podcast. And this is my plea to the universe. I promise I will find other topics to talk about. I promise to never shut up, to never stop yapping. If you please just give me ease in traveling, because this is just outrageous. So let me take you step by step. If you know me, you know that I am on the cheaper side of people. Or like, you know what? Am I cheap? Or did traveling from the Netherlands to Bulgaria and from Bulgaria to the Netherlands become unreasonably expensive? And here's the thing. Yes, I do travel by plane. I travel by plane because of convenience, because I need to go from one end of the continent to the other. It's faster. It's definitely cheaper than trains. It's not sustainable. And I think that such unsustainable actions should be paid for. But the thing is, last year, I spent over 500 euros only on plane tickets simply to so that I can go to Bulgaria. To the point that I really started reconsidering whether I really want to go to Bulgaria, because dropping more than a month's worth of rent so that I can take a 2-hour flight that's going to take me to the same continent and that's going to take me home. And don't get me wrong, I value my home. My home is my most invaluable place. But 500 euros is 500 euros, especially if you don't have it. To the point that this year, because I was so taken aback emotionally and also taken back financially by the expenditure that was last year, this time around, this year, I started saving up early on when it came to me. Like I have a problem with this, but like I open a savings account for every single expenditure I have in my life that is going to be above 100 euros. And the thing is, I opened a savings account where I would put money every now and then so that by the time I basically had to book my flight to go home for the holidays, I would use the money from the savings account, and because it would not affect my account that I used to operate in my day-to-day life, it would be free. And I think that's girl math. And I think that's beautiful because did I pay for it technically? I mean, not technically, absolutely, yes. But did I perceive it as less paying? Yes. But the thing is, okay, because I am cheap and because I don't want to spend too much money on traveling from point A to point B, considering that I also don't travel with luggage, but I simply travel with a carry-on at most, I always look through every single possible option of destinations. I am okay with flying from any destination in Bulgaria. I'm even fine with flying from Romania or wherever, and just I'm fine with landing in the Netherlands, in Germany, in Austria, if you will, and then taking a train. I'm fine with landing in Belgium, in France, and then taking a train. I really don't care. As long as it's going to be justified by the amount of money I save when I'm traveling to that destination, if it's going to be outside of the Netherlands. Also, although I have to admit, now that I am growing older, or like let's say growing up, and I'm starting to value my peace, I am also fine with not saving that 20 euros I would have saved by traveling 9 hours longer than normal. But I'm fine with paying that 20 euros and saving myself the hassle. But the thing is, this time around, just like last year, I decided to book a flight with Air Serbia. Air Serbia, for those of you who don't know, is Serbia's national airline. And the thing is, if you fly with Air Serbia from any different destination, you will have a layover in Serbia, most likely in Belgrade. I assume. I don't know. I think it's only in Belgrade. Doesn't really matter. No, it's not only in Belgrade, but like predominantly in Belgrade. And the thing is, they had a really good deal. It was under 100 euros for a flight from Sofia to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport with a layover in Belgrade, which was an hour and a half layover. And that compared to the low cost carriers like Wizz Air and Ryanair saved me a lot of money because Wizz Air and Ryanair were over 300 euros. And I was like, you know what? I am fine with spending an hour and a half extra traveling if that's going to save me 200 euros because I just made myself 150 bucks. And yes, I perceive it as making money. And because it was also, this is a side note, it's unrelated to the story, but because it was lower than 100 euros, I decided to spend it from my actual account that I use in my day-to-day operations instead of my savings account. So that was a plus. Yes, it ended up being not free in my perception, but that's fine because now I have that money in that savings account and it nearly came down to me having to use that money for a flight. But this you please consider as foreshadowing. So basically, I was really fine with doing that because it's a cheaper alternative. It doesn't take that much more time. And also because it is a national airline and it's like a more well established one or more like a fancier one, quote unquote, they also offer you a carry-on luggage that is included in your ticket. So you not only have a free item on board that you put under the seat in front of you, you also have a small suitcase up to a certain kilograms that you can put in the overhead compartment. So this is what really sold me on the situation. And then I let's just say that when I look at pictures from last Saturday and I just see young, naive, nothing suspecting me, I am just filled with like, I get war flashbacks because I genuinely thought that me trying to figure out my transport from my hometown to Sofia, which is like a 2.5, 3 hour drive depending on the traffic, I genuinely thought that this part of my trip was going to be the hardest part. Because normally in the Netherlands from Amsterdam Schiphol Airport to where I live, there is a direct train. And it couldn't get better because from Eindhoven, I need to change at least 2 trains. And that takes extra time, it's extra effort, and blah, 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 because Eindhoven itself is also further away because it's in the south of the country. So basically, I really wish getting to Sofia was the hard part of my journey, but little did I know. Because the thing is, okay, Sofia itself also did not go hassle free because normally what I try to do when I go from my hometown to Sofia or from Sofia to my hometown is I try to book public transport. I try to travel by bus, predominantly by bus instead of a train because trains take triple the time if they run smoothly, and the thing is they don't run smoothly most of the times and they have many delays, and I don't want to get stranded in the middle of a village in the middle of a village I've never heard of. So that's why I try to book buses. They're not that expensive or anything else. They're fine price. I also have a student discount and whatever. But the thing is, because my flight was on Monday, but my flight was on Monday 5 a.m., I could not get a suitable bus because the earliest bus, like I also looked from buses for buses from other cities, they just simply did not align with the schedule that I was supposed to follow to get to my plane on time, to my flight on time. So I was trying to find someone to travel with, and the thing is, I really don't like being dropped off in Sofia or at the airport by someone, especially by a family member, because the thing is, I become an emotional wreck. However, because I was flying on Monday, which was the first working day after the holidays, and I had to travel to Sofia on Sunday, it did not occur to me previously, like prior to that, that I should have booked my bus ticket way in advance because everything was going to be sold out. So I started panicking because I was like, how the fuck do I get to Sofia? And I'm very, very thankful that my family could actually drive me there and I could stay with my sister. And so we go to Sofia and blah 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 blah. That was like a big stress factor for me because I don't want to take away from their last day off. And I like it was also, the weather was shitty, like the fog was fogging to the point that it was concerning when you were driving. So I just also don't like it because, like I mentioned, I become an emotional wreck, especially when it's someone dropping me off at the airport after I have stayed in Bulgaria for longer than a week. Because if I stay there for a week, I feel like I don't have enough time to acclimatize to the situation and realize where I am and what I'm missing when I'm not there. But because I spent there more than a week, and I had really nice holidays, meaning that I got to spend time with friends and family. I just, when I was leaving, when my parents dropped me off and they left, I sobbed. I sobbed. And I don't know if that says anything about the way I perceive my life in Bulgaria or my life in the Netherlands, but you cannot have your cake and eat it, I guess. And I really, really wish this was the hardest part of my trip. I really wish. But the thing is, when it rains, it pours, guys. When it rains, it pours. So basically, on Sunday, I had heard for disruptions that were happening in Amsterdam at the airport because of bad weather. Because apparently it was snowing very heavily and the airport lanes or whatever, the takeoff lanes, had frozen over, and the airport staff was really struggling to keep the situation under control because, mind you, the airport did not have at their disposal technology that is going to help them figure out the situation. And mind you, Airport Schiphol in Amsterdam is one of Europe's, if not globally, it's one of the most busy airports. And it's one of the biggest airports because there's a lot of connecting flights, there's a lot of direct flights, there's just a lot of flights from the Netherlands to everywhere and from everywhere to the Netherlands to go to somewhere or like just simply to stay in the Netherlands. So it's a very, very busy airport. And at that point on Sunday, I had heard about the disruptions and I started getting worried because they were delaying flights, but not only that, they were canceling flights because apparently it was not safe enough to fly. And the thing is, they, for all like 2 days, I believe it was, had canceled over 500 flights. And in 3 days, they canceled over 1,000. And to me, obviously, as someone, because the thing is, I had never flown to Amsterdam. If I fly to the Netherlands, I always fly to Eindhoven because it's much, much cheaper. If, let's say, a flight from Bulgaria to Eindhoven is 100 euros, a flight from Bulgaria to Amsterdam is going to be at least 300. And this time around, because it was such a steal with that price of the ticket, I simply could not travel to Amsterdam. Let me just say that this is my first and final time flying to Schiphol Airport, because that was not even low-key, that was high-key traumatizing. So basically, I arrived in Sofia, and like I mentioned, my flight was at 5 a.m., which meant that I had to be at the airport around 3:30 the latest, let's say, because I have a layover in Serbia, I need to go through passport control, because even though I am EU and Schengen, I'm going to a country that is not part of the EU and is not part of Schengen. So I need to go through passport control. It's not just me like traveling with my ID like Schengen, just simply nobody caring of what's going on. So I go there, and the thing is, I simply had not slept since 9 a.m. the day prior, because I woke up at 9 a.m. I had to let go and say my goodbyes to my grandparents. Then I had to get ready to leave. And then in the evening, I just simply could not sleep before my flight, because every 10 minutes, and I'm not over exaggerating, I'm kidding you, I'm shitting you not, that day, my screen time was 7 hours, simply from me refreshing pages and airport apps to see what's going on with my flight and whether that there's going to be information. And I I was very stressed. I am not really stressed when it comes to although I should be, considering how traveling is going for me normally, but I feel like at this point I've just accepted my fate that if something is going to go wrong, it like if something can go wrong, it most likely will. And this is not me trying to attract any negativity in my life and trying to just jinx myself and manifest any negativity. It's just me being observant. So I go there at 3:30. I go through the gate and I'm sat down, and the thing is, that is the point in public in which I decided that it's a great time for me to start watching Heated Rivalry, because and I remembered what I wanted to say, because the thing is, Heated Rivalry is not available in Bulgarian or Dutch HBO. It's not available on Prime. It's not available on Netflix. So basically, I had to pirate it. And this is not something I advise you to do, because, well, you could get a virus on your computer, but it's also like infringement of copyright. So am I potentially getting myself in trouble by saying this? I mean, maybe. Am I the first one to do it? No. And the thing is, pirating content in Bulgaria is much, much easier than pirating content in the Netherlands, because in the Netherlands it's easier to stream illegal content, but the sites are sketchy, at least the ones I have found. Whereas in Bulgaria, I know the platforms from which I can basically download the content on my laptop. But the thing is, in the Netherlands, I just simply don't have access to those platforms. In the Netherlands, I don't even have access to the national television channels, like the Nova channel or the BTV channel, which I know if you're not Bulgarian, don't speak anything to you, but it's wild to me that I just don't have access to them. Never mind. So I go there and I'm like, you know what? Let me just see what this show is about. And I would like to thank whoever invented headphones, because oh my god. So I'm sort of like, if you've not seen Heated Rivalry, I advise you to watch it. But the thing is, you have to be warned that it is explicit. And the thing is, I was watching at first and I'm like, oh my god, there's whimpering men that I'm watching on my laptop at 4 a.m. in the airport, where there's no privacy. And I was like, oh, should I just turn on my subtitles in case someone is watching so that I can be inclusive and they can watch with me too? And then after they were whimpering for a few minutes on spinning bikes, they entered a scene that took place in a bathroom. And this is when I decided to shut down my laptop, because even though I did not know what was going to happen, I kind of had a hunch. And I just simply did not want to be seen watching this in public. I know I come out here and share TMI, but I feel like that's TMI even for me. So after I finish watching those first 7 or 10 minutes of heated rivalry, I turn off my laptop, and by this time, we're supposed to have started boarding the plane to Belgrade. But there is no one. And I was like, you know what? If there's going to be any delays, there's going to be delays for my flight that's from Belgrade to Amsterdam, rather than for my flight from Sofia to Belgrade, because the one from Sofia to Belgrade is literally the very first flight of the day, and I don't think that they will do any delays for the very first flight. Little did I know. So basically, we had not started boarding by the time boarding was supposed to end and we were supposed to take off. And the thing is, I was starting to worry, because I started hearing people around me saying, guys, our plane has not even departed from Belgrade. And the thing is, our plane cannot arrive. I know that Serbia and Bulgaria are neighboring countries, but the plane cannot arrive in 10 minutes, meaning that by the time it gets here, by the time everybody disembarks, by the time they prep it for us to embark, by the time we embark, by the time we depart, and by the time we land, I would have missed my connecting flight, which meant that I immediately wanted to be rebooked on a different flight, or to have some sort of information of what to do. But the thing is, because like I mentioned, I'm going to a non-EU country, I am passing through passport control. And once you pass that point, there is no going back. And I wanted to reach out to an information desk, but obviously there was no information desk in that wing of the building. And I wanted to, I asked the people at passport control, I was like, hi, Mr. and Miss policeman, policewoman, could you please help me figure this out? Because I want to go back. And they're like, if you go back, your ticket is going to become invalid and you cannot embark on the plane again. We cannot let you go back through here. We have to call someone to escort you out of the airport, which is a specific procedure. And I'm like, oh, well, fuck. And there was no information desk, but there was an information hotline, let's say. And it was basically the stationary phone that was attached to the wall, and you pick up the device and it immediately calls the information desk. And I was like, hi, I would like to see if I can be rebooked. I would like to see if I can find a different route. And mind you, because I was checking every 10 minutes what the situation was throughout the night, I had figured out different modes of transportation. I had looked at flights to London, and from London to take the tube to Amsterdam. I had looked at flights to anywhere in Germany, which, let's say I was fine with flying to Berlin, which then would take me a 10-hour bus drive. I was fine with flying to Paris and then take the train. I was fine with flying to Brussels. I was fine with traveling to Milan, I looked at, and then catching a plane to Eindhoven, or like some sort of a situation of like a plane from Milan to Paris and from Paris a train. I was fine with flying to Poland. I was fine with flying to Austria. I was fine with flying to anywhere that would get me as close to my destination as possible. But I simply had to arrive in the Netherlands on Monday because on Tuesday I had a class that was that had an in-class assignment that did not offer a resit, and that in-class assignment was from 9 to 5. And the thing is, because it doesn't have a resit, you basically must be present. And if you are not present, you cannot graduate from the course. And if you cannot graduate from the course, that means that you cannot graduate from the master's, which that genuinely made my blood boil. And this is the thing that was most concerning to me. And I picked up this information hotline stationary phone device thingy. And I was like, hey, I would like to see if I can be rebooked on a different flight. I would like to see what my options are. And the lady was like, oh, ma'am, I don't have that type of information. You need to reach out to the airline itself. And I was like, okay. And I'm trying to reach out to the airline and to their Bulgarian office. Nobody's picking up. And their Serbian office does not start working until 6 a.m. Serbian time, which is 7 a.m. Bulgarian time, which is way after I was supposed to leave Bulgaria, depart. And I'm really freaking out. And the people at passport control told me, okay, when you go to the gate to embark on the plane, just ask whoever is helping you embark for information on your flight and see if there's any point of you catching that flight. Because the thing is, if I am going to get stranded somewhere, I would much rather be stranded in Sofia than be stranded in Belgrade, because I don't know, I'd rather be stranded in my own country where my sister can come and pick me up rather than be stranded in a foreign country where, because it's non-EU, I don't even have access to my phone and cannot use my phone to call anyone, receive calls, or use my data. I mean, technically I could, but my mom would kill me because it's going to be extra expensive. And I was really, really freaking out about what's going to happen. And I was like, okay, maybe they will bring us back to Sofia if something happens. And I go to this charging point and I meet this guy because I just wanted to charge my phone. And I meet this guy and we start traveling together because he's also embarking on the same layover flight as I am. And the thing is, we do not start boarding until 40 minutes after that, until basically there's 20 minutes until my connecting flight departs. And the thing is, we did not have any information on any websites or any apps about the layover flight to Amsterdam. And they told us that our flight from Belgrade to Sofia, the one that arrived to take us from Sofia to Belgrade, was delayed because of a severe weather in Belgrade. And the thing is, we go to embark on the plane and I'm talking to the lady at the gate and I'm like, ma'am, could you please provide me with any information about the layover flight? I don't know what to do and I don't want to get on a plane if I'm just going to get stranded in a foreign country. I have a layover flight. And she's like, I don't have any information. The only thing I can tell you is get on that plane now and go talk to the information desk in Serbia. And I'm like, well, that's very helpful. And she's like, yeah, well, at the desk, they will tell you what to do in case you have missed your flight. And I'm like, if that flight is not delayed by at least an hour and a half, there's no way I'm going to make it, because that flight is supposed to depart in 20 minutes. And as we can all notice, I am still in Sofia. So I was really, really getting pissed. But I get on the plane and I'm like, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I was like, because the thing is, like I mentioned, I had looked at other flights and there was one to Eindhoven, but that one was 500 euros without the carry-on So that was something. But the thing is, so I get on the plane, and because I was one of the last people to embark, because I had that conversation with the lady at the gate, there was, because Air Serbia planes that they operate from Belgrade to Sofia are small planes. They have 2 seats per side, and they're very narrow, and they're not really tall, and the overhead compartments are very short but deep. And I by the time I get on the plane, I'm one of the last ones to embark. And well, I mean, they returned some people because one of the girls, like her scarf fell, so she had to, like, no, she forgot her. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Um, but by the time I get on the plane, there's no overhead space for my luggage. And I'm like talking to the flight attendant, and she basically tells me that she's going to gate check technically my luggage. But at this point, she told me to sit down, so I'm sat. She's taking my luggage. She doesn't have my information. My luggage is not labeled as gate checked. And that the thing is, when they gate check your luggage, they give it to you as you disembark from the plane, as you're going down the stairs. So I'm like, okay, well, can you at least look at my boarding pass? I'm fine with you taking my phone. Just please make sure that it's correctly labeled. And she's like, yeah, I'm just going to remember your seat number, blah, 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 blah. So we arrive in Belgrade, a very turbulent flight, and I can see that the weather in Belgrade really was shit, and there was a lot of snow, like a lot of snow. And I am disembarking from the plane, and as I'm going down the stairs, I do not see my luggage. And I'm starting to panic because I don't even know if my luggage was left in Sofia. I don't know if my luggage made it to Serbia. And because I have a connecting flight, if my luggage made it to Sofia, to Belgrade, and it was labeled incorrectly, is it going to directly go on a connecting flight? And which connecting flight? And I talked to the people, like I talked to the flight attendants, I talked to the people who were taking the luggage from the baggage compartment. And I'm like, hey, I need my luggage. And they're like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I don't have any information. And at this point, I just want to die. And mind you, we arrive, I still don't know if my connecting flight has departed. And as you enter the building in the air of the airport, there is someone who redirects people to either go to the gates for the connecting flights or to exit the airport. And I'm telling her the situation with my luggage, and she's like, well, you most likely, I think you missed your flight. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And she's like, you need to go and find your luggage. I don't know where your luggage is. I don't know where it's going to arrive. You need to exit the airport. And I'm like, fuck. So basically, I run. And mind you, my knee is killing me throughout this entire story that I'm telling you. Like I told you last week, I went running. My knee has been killing me. My knee has not stopped killing me. And because of all the pressure and like me being sad the entire time and my leg being at a 90-degree angle, my knee was very strained. So I am trying to run considering that I can barely walk. Elevators are not working in any of the airports I went to, apart from the Bulgarian one. And I am trying to find the luggage belt to see if my luggage is going to be there or if my luggage was simply left in Sofia. And I'm exiting the airport and I'm going to the luggage belt, and my luggage, thank God, was one of the first to arrive. Now, why did they not get gate check it properly and give it to me as I was disembarking? I don't know, but I'm happy I went there to pick it up because otherwise I would have thought like, oh, maybe they just immediately gate checked it for the next flight to Amsterdam and my luggage would have simply stayed in Belgrade. but like there was complete lack of communication. And this is something I noticed so much when I was in Belgrade and at the airport. I was in the Nikola Tesla. Is it, why do they say Nikola? I thought it was Nikola, but like maybe Nikola is just the Bulgarian. Let's say Nikola Tesla airport. There was just very much lack of information, and it's not because it's a silent airport, it's just they would never update you on time on stuff that you need to be updated about, like in an emergency, like urgently. And I'm taking my suitcase and I'm exiting the terminal. And now, basically, because I cannot go back, I need to re enter the airport from the departure side because I arrived at the arrival side. I need to go to the departures and I need to go through security. And at this point, I already know that my flight to Amsterdam had not departed. It had been delayed by, so it was supposed to depart at 6:40 or 6:50. It had been delayed to 9:30. So I have basically like an hour to go find my luggage, figure out if my luggage is there, figure out in which country, blah, 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 blah. Re-enter the airport, go through security. Again, mind you, not in an EU country, so I need to go through passport control. And then try to figure out my gate before boarding ends. Because even though my flight, let's say, was supposed to depart at 9:30, it's like that's the point of the time of departure, not the point in which you're supposed to show up at the gate. So I am rushing, I am running, and it takes me a little bit, and I basically arrive at the gate as boarding is supposed to be like somewhat midway. And I see that boarding simply has not even started. And I'm like, okay, whew, take a breath. That means that you have enough time to go to the bathroom, drink some water, catch your breath. And by the time you do those stuff, that's going to take you like 10-15 minutes to do everything. You will be able to start boarding the plane. Little did I know. So then, a few minutes later, they delay our plane to 10:30. And I'm like, you know what? That's fine, because that means I can be compensated. Because last year, because I again traveled with Air Serbia, but I was flying to Hamburg, and then they were but more. Oh my God, there's fireworks. They were late by more than 5 hours, so I missed my bus and I was stranded in Germany. And I feel like this is the universe telling me that I should not fly with Air Serbia. But so I'm like, you know what, that's fine. Like, it's just an hour more, it's okay. And then at 10:30, when we're supposed to already depart, we have not even started boarding. So again, like what I meant with lack of information, instead of them telling us at 10, your flight is not going to take off at 10:30, they tell us at 11 that our 10:30 flight is not going to depart at 10:30, but it's going to depart at 12. And at this point, I am starting to get annoyed. And at 12, they delay it to 3. And at this point, I am pissed. And I go to the information desk and I'm like, hey, I just want to make sure that this flight is going to depart because I really need to be in the Netherlands today. I cannot not fly today. And the lady was like, yeah, no, there is no way this flight is not going to depart. Everything is okay. There's like just very bad weather in Amsterdam right now. But there is no way you guys are not going to depart. So this is what's easing my mind. And then around 2:30, so already after an 8-hour delay, basically, they tell us your flight is canceled. And at this point, I have used up my capacity of being kind and polite and understanding, because I know it's safety reasons. I get it. But I really need to make it to the Netherlands. And I go to information and I'm like, please book me a flight to Düsseldorf, book me a flight to Düsseldorf, book me a flight to Brussels, book me a flight to Paris, anything, please. I must fly today. Or like, if it's not going to happen, bring me back to Sofia. And they're like, well, we cannot do much. There is a very big line. You can go directly, like, we don't have the authority to book you or rebook you or refund you. You have to go and do that at the Air Serbia desk. And I head to the Air Serbia desk just to see a line of over 500 people. And at this point, I was like, oh, I really am fucked. And basically, they told us that they're going to organize a hotel. Why is that firework display going off right now? And why is it so long? Like, I'm so sorry if you can hear it. But basically, they tell us that they're going to organize a hotel for us. Organizing that hotel, while I do recognize that you need to organize a hotel for like 200 people and that's going to take some time, it was so disorganized and it took more than 3 hours. And around, I would say 6, we finally, and at this point, mind you, I have been at the airport since 3:30 in the morning. At this point, I am exhausted and I am done with life. But on the upside is that I'm meeting like some people that are, well, to be honest, I was about to say my age, they're younger than me, which was very ironic because I just started collecting them like Pokemons, and we just gathered like as a group and we just talked and whatever. And the thing is, it was very ironic for me and such a full circle moment because I remember the very first time I flew to the Netherlands when I moved here, I was by myself, and on the flight I just met some people who were older than me, like 3-4 years older than me, and they were telling me how they're doing a master's degree and they don't have their lives figured out. And I was like, oh my God, they're doing a master's degree. They're so grown up, because at this point I had just graduated from high school and I thought that by the time I turn 23, 24, I'll have everything figured out and everything will be in place and I'll have so much clarity about my path in life. And little did I know. But basically, that was such a full circle moment because every single person I met on that flight was younger than me. All of them were first or second year bachelor students. And so that meant that they were like 19 to 20-year-olds. And I felt like so, like again, like such a full circle moment, because for me, I was now in the shoes of those master's students I met a few years ago when I first moved here. And I was like, damn, I really expected at this point to have everything figured out. And I really am getting more confused by the second. And I don't know what I want from life, and I don't know where I'm heading. I don't even know if where I'll sleep tonight, apparently. And there's so many factors that are influencing everything I do and everything I'm trying to do. I don't know what's going on. And I just saw like their excitement, and like because life in the Netherlands for them was still new and they were just so eager. And I didn't want to break it to them that like it's not all sunshine and rainbow, because considering that there's barely any sunshine here. But yeah, it was just like I first of all felt very weird talking to that much younger people. I mean, yes, 3 years, but 3 years is 3 years. And yeah, it just felt, it was a very interesting moment and like a moment of reminiscence and a wake up call that like I should be kinder to people, like in the sense that I should not expect to have everything figured out by a certain age, because life just happens. So they organize our hotel and they take our information. We get on a bus, and on that bus I am traveling standing because there were no places, and there was no other bus, so I had to get on that bus, and my knee is killing me, and it's just like not a fun trip because it was a very long trip from the airport to the hotel. And at this point, I had imagined that they're going to put us in some shit and that we're going to share rooms with strangers, and like it's just going to be an emergency shelter type of situation of like 80 beds in the same room. And boy, was I happy to be mistaken, because we arrive at this four-star hotel, a hotel that has a Michelin star, and we can, if we want to, have a single room to ourselves, which for me would have been a non-negotiable, because I don't know any of those people, so I don't want to share a room with a stranger, because it's one thing if you go to a hostel and you up front know you're going to share a room with strangers, and it's a completely different situation if you go like somewhere, you're stranded in a foreign country, you cannot go back, you don't know anyone, and you're trying to just find shelter for the evening, and they're like, yeah, you need to share with this person you've never even met. Like, that's just also not really safe. And mind you, I also forgot to mention, I don't, okay, I don't wash my hair before I travel by plane, because for me, the second anything I have on me, like any clothes or my skin or my hair, the second it touches airplane air or bus air, like bus meaning like from my hometown to Sofia, and then air in the train, it needs to be drowned in alcohol and in disinfectant and washed on a high temperature, because I just feel so incredibly filthy, and I just don't have, I cannot wait to wash my hands and my face. And because I had not washed my hair, because like I don't want to wash my hair before going on a plane so that I can wash it the day of me after I disembark from the plane. I had such oily hair that the US government, basically, if they knew about my hair state, they would have invaded my head to pump oil. And that was definitely a look through which I presented myself in front of all those new people I met. But it's okay. It's okay. I couldn't have known that this was going to happen, because at that point I was supposed to long have been arrived home and showered, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to arrive home around noon, and I'll have enough time to shower, to rest, to clean, to go do grocery shopping, and just settle in and rest for the rest of the day. And little did I know that all of this shit show was going to happen. And we arrive at the hotel. I am flabbergasted in the best way possible, taken aback by the room we are given, because this is the most luxurious room and hotel I have ever and had ever been in. And I was mesmerized, and I had this, like, it was more than a king size bed just for myself, and it was so modern to the point that I did not want to touch anything, because I was like, oh no, I'm going to ruin something. And I take a shower, I wash my hair, don't worry. Then we go down for dinner. And after that, I realized that shit, I don't have any toiletries on me, because, like I mentioned, I was supposed to long have been home before that. So obviously, I did not bring any soap or whatever, or I did not bring toothpaste. So one of the girls I met and we had to go and hunt down a DM so that we can go and buy toothpaste. And the other thing is, when I travel, I vacuum seal my luggage. I put it in those big plastic nylon bags, and I suck out the air, and it basically compresses the luggage to a much smaller size. This is like a very big hack, and this is how I am able to take more volume in the same size bag. And the thing is, you cannot open it and then reclose it and then not have a vacuum and like a vacuum cleaner to suck out the air or anything and expect for it to work out. So basically, because everything was vacuum sealed, that meant I had to be with the same clothes. But then I found out that I still had the t-shirt I had traveled with to Sofia from my hometown, so I had to reuse that one. And mind you, at this point, that day, I smelled terrible. One of my biggest fears, one of my biggest phobias is that I smell bad. That day, that fear became a reality. And I knew it. I could smell myself, and it was disgusting. And I just wanted to burn those clothes because I was like, that's not savable. Because obviously you put deodorant before you leave, but you expect your 5-hour trip to take 5 hours instead of I don't know, 15, and then to not even have left for your destination. And at this point they have rescheduled our flight for 1:15 the day after. And I am emailing immediately my teacher, and I'm like, hi, this is what's going on. I don't think I'll be able to be present. Do you think I can join online? I'm just stranded in my layover country. I'm not even home. And I'm very thankful that she was understanding and she allowed me to join online. And then the whole country went into a shutdown because of, I am shitting you not, 3 centimeters of snow at max. So they moved everything online. But the thing is, so the day after, we check out of the hotel and we're supposed to get on a bus, the same bus from the day prior. So this is on Tuesday now. I had left for Sofia on Sunday, mind you. We are supposed to go on the same bus that took us to the hotel for it to take us to the airport. And as we're disembarking, this one guy screams, "Wait, I forgot my swimsuit in the sauna." So we had to wait for him to pick up his stupid swimsuit, but whatever. So we go to the airport, and as literally we make the turn to the airport, we're seeing the terminal. This girl that's sitting in front of me just says, "Our flight was canceled." And I'm like, fuck this shit, man. And mind you, at this point, I am already supposed to be in class. And I cannot connect to a Wi-Fi. I cannot connect to a network because we're on a bus in Serbia. I cannot turn on my mobile data without it costing an arm and a leg. And thank God, it turns out she was looking at the wrong flight because there were multiple flights to Amsterdam that day. And unfortunately, the one we had been scheduled on was the last one for the day. So if God forbid something were to happen, there's no next flight for us to be rebooked on. And the thing is, so this happens on Tuesday. And we already know that for Wednesday, because at this point in Amsterdam, it's code orange. On Wednesday, it's supposed to be code red. So there is no flying on Wednesday, which meant that we would have to arrive on Thursday at the in best case scenario. So I really wanted us to depart on that day, on Tuesday. And so we arrive at the airport. I'm rushing through security so that I can find a spot to join my meetings for my class so that I can work on my assignment with my group mates. And the airport Wi-Fi was so fucking shitty, and I could not go like a few minutes without it being disrupted. So that was frustrating. But the good thing is that overall I managed to partake very effectively in the assignment, which was nice because that meant that even though we did not get a good grade, I will, if everything, knock on wood, goes well with the exams, I will be able to continue to writing my thesis, which hopefully when I finish successfully, I will be able to graduate from the master's. And so basically, our flight was supposed to be at 1:15, and at 1 we had not even started boarding. So I was like, yeah, I feel like I know where this is going. So at 1:15 they delay it at no, at 1:30, because of lack of information, lack of updates uh from any airport side. At 1:30 they tell us 2:30, then they tell us 3, then they tell us 5, then they tell us 6. And at this point, obviously, I mean, I was supposed to be giving a presentation, but I told my group mates, guys, I'm supposed to be boarding a plane. I ended up not boarding a plane at the time my presentation was, so I could have easily participated in the presentation, but that's details. So basically, I had at this point come to terms with the fact that I'm not flying that day. And I was like, just don't even hold us here anymore. Like, just bring us back to the hotel, or like bring us back to Sofia. Like, this is just a complete waste of time. We spend the entire day, like, we've spent 8 hours at this airport at this point, and there is no information of whether we're going to fly it or not. And mind you, the flight that was supposed to be from Belgrade to Amsterdam from 7 a.m. had still not departed. So if they had not departed, we weren't going to deport, because they were obviously before us. And at this point, we also hear that the de-icing fluid in Amsterdam is running out, and they are running at a lower capacity. And like when you would open the Schiphol website, you would just see notifications to close to every single flight that it is canceled. And things weren't looking very hopeful. And then this girl and I, we started walking around just trying to distract ourselves. I was trying to study, which, I mean, I did manage. And I also managed to study a little bit the night before, after I got to the hotel, because I am me. And of course, I'm going to torture myself with that. But I'm trying to study, and we're just walking, and we see smoke, and we think we are hearing a siren, like an alarm, not like a siren as in like a mermaid that's going to lure me into the water to kill me. And we're starting to freak out, because I'm like, this is literally the last thing we needed right now. But it wasn't an alarm, and the smoke was actually from this machine spraying the de-icing liquid on the plane. So that was good. Nobody was dying. And then after we had lost all hope, we see that the flight attendants, like the flight crew, just arrives at our gate, and they pass through it. And when I tell you, we start clapping and yelling, I mean, we are greeting them as if they're some superstars, because to us, that symbolized that indeed there was going to be a flight. But the thing is, this girl I was traveling with, because as it turns out, we live in the same city, she basically, because she was paranoid, she made me extra paranoid, because she was like, oh my God, what if it's actually unsafe for us to travel, but they're just trying to get rid of us because they're just sick and tired of us, and they don't want to pay for another hotel night. And what if it's not safe to travel? What happens? Like, why just now? What's going on? And I'm like, girl, please don't put this notion in my head and this thought process. I don't want it activated, because I'm really going to freak out, because there is reason behind it. But like, also, air traveling is the safest form of transportation, and I feel like they cannot risk the life of that many people for the sake of, I don't know, saving money on a hotel. So I was very paranoid, and I just immediately started texting my family, and I was like, hey guys, there is this website called Flight Radar 24. This is my flight number. Please track on me. If anything goes down, if I don't make it, please remember me. And my mom was like, please stop. You're freaking me out. And I'm like, ma'am, with all due respect, I'm freaking you out, but I am freaked out myself. And we get on the plane, and it starts making weird sounds, and I'm like, that's it. this is how I die? Is it really like I would rather be stranded in Serbia forever than die on my way to Amsterdam? Like, fuck this shit. I already made my assignment. Yes, I have a presentation tomorrow that I need to make, but it's okay. I would rather miss the presentation than die. And I'm starting to panic, and everything is fine. Everything was fine. I mean, it was a very turbulent flight, but they did warn us that it's going to be a very turbulent flight. And I could not sleep because of the stress. I could not sleep on the flight. And I really wanted to watch Heated Rivalry, but there was a baby next to me, a baby in front of me, and a baby behind me. So I was like, let's not. Let's be a responsible citizen. Although the baby next to me was kicking me the entire time, and the baby behind me was kicking my seat the entire time. So that was not great. But the thing is, we arrive in Amsterdam, and because of the snow, the train system had been disrupted from the day before, and many trains were not running. And like I mentioned, I don't live in Amsterdam. And what is normally the direct train from Amsterdam to where I live now was a trip with 3 train changes. And the thing is, the trains are not running as often as they normally are. And I had to really make, worst case scenario, this one train at 10:10 so that I can arrive in my hometown, well, not hometown, so that I can arrive in the city I live in before the last public transport departs, because I would have to otherwise walk from the train station to my place, which with luggage would take me almost an hour, considering that there's snow and ice, maybe even longer, because I cannot drag my suitcase, and considering that my knee's fucked, that would take extra. And that was very fun and exciting. So basically, we arrive in Amsterdam, and I really wanted to make, so we arrive at 9:10, which ironically is the time my original flight was scheduled to arrive. So I guess we did arrive at 9:10. They just never specified that they meant 9:10 in the evening after. We arrived there, and there is a train departing at 9:35, and I'm like, oh, but then I forgot that I'm not arriving from Schengen or from EU, so I would have to go through passport control, and that would take me some extra time. But I was like, no, it's fine. Like, there's definitely a separate line for EU passport holders or EU ID holders. And the good thing about Schiphol is that the train station is literally on the underground level of the airport, so you don't even need to leave the airport to catch the train. I was like, I can still make it. It's 25 minutes is plenty of time. So we arrive. I see the most beautiful moon I had ever seen. It was massive and it was orange. And then I look down and I see the amount of snow that caused all of this. And I am infuriated, because when I tell you it's 3 centimeters of snow and I can literally see the grass popping through, like poking out of the snow, I was infuriated and I felt embarrassed for the Netherlands. Because in Bulgaria, and I know we experience way severe weather when it comes to winter, and I know that for the Netherlands that may be a lot of snow, but this is embarrassing. And to the point that, like, if this is the amount of snow that fell in Bulgaria, it would not even be reported in the forecast as snow, because this is just like, it's spitting a little snow and it's totally fine. And like, I get it. You were trying to protect us. You didn't have the capacity to deal with all of this, but this was really embarrassing on their side, that this basically the entire country since Saturday, so for a week now, has been in complete shutdown because of the snow. Trains are not running, public transport is not running, Flights are getting delayed or canceled. Just everything is fucked. And when you're walking out now, because today, for example, when I had to go out to get to work, because yesterday my shift was canceled because of the weather. So basically, they did such a shit job at cleaning the streets to the point that the streets are simply not clean. And cars don't have winter tires on because apparently winter tires are not mandatory here after a certain period. Uh, the pavements are not clean. Everything, fuck the fact that it's covered in snow. Everything is covered in thick ice. There's people slipping left and right, and this is so incredibly dangerous. And it's honestly like, because obviously, because before I arrived, I did not know about what the situation is. And when I arrived and I took a picture to show my parents the amount of snow that caused all of this, we basically were like so disappointed in the whole situation because, sure, I get it. Bulgaria is more prepared for situations like this, but in Bulgaria, we have snow that's over 50 centimeters and the country doesn't shut down. I remember when I was in high school and it gets over 50 centimeters in a single evening. So it had snowed up until above my knee, and the evening and the day after I still had to go to school, and like the school didn't close because of this, but here everything, like, they had to cancel more than 1,000 flights because of 3 centimeters of snow. And I'm sorry if you're Dutch and you're listening to this and you're offended by the situation, and what I'm saying. I really don't give a shit. Like, this is so embarrassing. Like, you're a Northern European country. Have some preparedness. And I know you're famous for it being rainy rather than snowy. And I know that for you, this is a lot of snow, but this is embarrassing. It's really, really embarrassing. And what if, because of climate change, this is your new normal for what the winter is going to look like in the winter months? Like, this better cause some preparedness because, guys, yesterday, like, no, I'm literally not kidding you. Everything, like, you're basically just gliding on ice to get from one place to the other. And yesterday, because I went to this hotel to study because I just simply could not focus at home because I would just keep watching I Heated Rivalry edits. Um, I saw someone using skis as a mode of transportation. Honestly, iconic, but like ridiculous in a way. And it's just outrageous that the university shut down, buildings are not working, public transport is not working. And my problem is not only like the roads themselves, now the main roads, they have been properly cleaned today, I noticed. And buses are still not running. But the thing is, you're basically depriving people of public transport, but you've not cleaned the bike lanes. You had not cleaned properly the roads themselves, and you've not cleaned the pavements. So you're basically making people locked in their homes without the opportunity to go anywhere. And when I tell you that the supermarkets are empty, and I don't mean like no people, I mean like no produce, because people are buying as if the end, like as if Armageddon is coming. And it's like my Bulgarian self is just, I cannot comprehend this type of panic because of 3 centimeters of snow in a Northern European country. And yeah, I really don't know what to tell you. I'm just so disappointed and embarrassed and just frustrated because, come on, guys, like, just grow up. And like, you cannot not provide any form of opportunity for people to move because you're not cleaning the roads, you're not cleaning the bike lanes, you're not cleaning the pavements. where are people supposed to go. And like, fine, I am able to balance myself on these unclean pavements, but what about someone who's disabled? What about a child? What about an elderly person? It's honestly situations like these that really show the marginalized groups and how isolated and how they're isolated and they're an afterthought. So that's really, really frustrating me. So, and I'm hoping this snow melts and this ice melts and it's all done, because simply the country does not have the capacity to deal with it. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry if that's offensive. You know what? I'm not even sorry. So what did I want to say? So we arrive in Amsterdam Schiphol airport, and I'm supposed to go through passport control. And like, I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be a separate line for EU compared to non-EU, and like our line is going to be faster, and like everything's going to be fine. I'm going to make my 9:35 train. And the thing is, we start queuing, and they simply do. We start queuing to enter a queue where we can queue to be let into the country. And the person who was forming, like, the, let's say, staff member who was telling us where to queue so he would let us then start queuing for the real deal, he did not provide us with any information. And he started letting people with passports go through because they could go through the machines. But us people with IDs had to wait over 15 to 20 minutes to be even let in to start queuing. And that was so fucking frustrating, because that meant I missed my train and I had only one option left so that I can make the public transport in the city I live in. And I was so frustrated because there was no information. At this point, I had been traveling since Sunday. This is 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday. I'm exhausted. I know I have three train changes. I have 3 hours of traveling more to go to get to the city. Then I have like another 20 minutes on top by bus to get to where I live. Otherwise, it's going to be at least an hour of walking. So I just want to get it going. Like, yes, sure, at this point I had become numb, and I, like, if at that point you had told me, oh, you need to get on a plane for 10 hours, I would have been fine, because I became so emotionally numb and just, I was like so done with everything and everyone, but I just simply really wanted to go. And thankfully, he eventually let us in and we started queuing, and the queue moved somewhat quickly. And that girl that lives in the same city and we managed to catch that train. And it was so chaotic because the trains, because they're not as often, are so full. And I obviously studied on the train, and that was something. And none of the escalators worked. And if you've never been in the Netherlands, when you need to change platforms for trains, you need to go upstairs, sometimes also downstairs, but mainly upstairs, so that you can walk through the train station and find your new platform that you need to take your next train from. None of the elevators worked, and it was so chaotic, and it was so painful for me because of my knee, and also because I had been carrying that luggage for a lot of time, like a long time by that point, and I was just exhausted, and I again started smelling really bad. And then after forever, I arrive in the city. I managed to catch the last bus, and this is well past midnight, and at 2 a.m. I managed finally to enter my home. And the thing is, my home has a spiral Dutch staircase. And again, if you've never been to the Netherlands, maybe you are not familiar with that. What that is very steep, very narrow stairs. And carrying my luggage up those stairs is an ordeal. and I just hated every single second of it. And I was so happy to arrive. I was so happy to take a shower. I was so, like, I ate simply a tortilla that had dried up and had basically turned into nachos at that point. And I was so happy to go in my bed and sleep because I left on Sunday noon from my hometown and arrived to the city I live in on Wednesday morning, basically. And that was the longest trip of my life. And I think, if not anything, at least it proved to me that I would be okay traveling to Australia or somewhere like super remote with long layovers and like a few days of traveling to get to a single destination, because this is how I choose to perceive it. And the day after, when I woke up, I was exhausted, and I realized that the only thing that had been holding me together through those multiple days, those days in which I, like, with every single delay, I was hysterically laughing. I never cried. I sure complained, but I was not like, oh, look at me, blah, 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 like I'm such a victim. I just realized that the only thing that was holding me together was adrenaline. And when the adrenaline wore off the day after, only then did I realize how exhausted I actually was. And I just started getting a grip of myself and realizing what it is that I had actually gone through. And I'm honestly super proud with the way I handled the situation, because yes, there were times in which I was very stressed, but I overall managed to keep my cool, calm, collected. And because I just realized that there is nothing I can do. Like, everything about this was outside of my control. And of course, I know I was complaining up until now, but like, priority is for us to arrive safely. And I would rather arrive safely and miss my deadline and not go to class and have to repeat the year than not arrive at all. And just when I talked to my family, none of my family members slept those few nights because they were so, like, my sister was constantly tracking my location. Everybody was so stressed out. And I feel very honored that I have people who love me enough that they're losing sleep over me and my safety. And I feel very privileged and blessed in that aspect. And that definitely was a trip for the books, and then only for my presentation to be moved online. And all, like, basically everything was moved online. The campus closed down. I couldn't go to work because they canceled my shift, so I literally could have stayed in Bulgaria a week longer. But if I had known, but I couldn't have known. So that's definitely something. And I honestly am hyper impressed with my resilience. And I know this is making me sounding cocky, but like, I really am, because I would never expect from myself to be so calm overall in a situation like this. And yeah, now I'm just like overall just frustrated with the whole situation because it's negatively affecting my lifestyle at the moment, and it's just really, really not nice. And when I tell you, the second I washed my face, the second I washed my hands, the second I washed my hair, oh my god, that felt so incredibly nice. I felt reborn. And I just feel like, because interestingly, I mean, not interestingly, I feel like it's, considering that everything I had gone through those few days, especially Monday with the cancellation, with me being in Bulgaria, stranded in Serbia, going to a hotel, that day felt like a week. And in general, that period of Sunday to Wednesday felt like a month, like a year. It felt like a lifetime ago, and it was almost like as if I'm present and I'm there and it's happening to me, but it's also as if I'm an observer, and it was just such a weird thing. And at least on the upside, because of that all-nighter I pulled off because of the delays and the cancellations and me checking every 10 minutes to check on the situation, I at least managed to somewhat fix my sleep schedule, because I don't know if you remember, I was complaining to you that my sleep schedule in Bulgaria was very fucked, to the point that I was just very jet lagged. This was the first time in my life I had experienced jet lag, and I could not go to bed before 4 a.m. And now it's basically 1 o'clock right now. In 6 hours I need to wake up for work. So yeah, but now I feel like just the exhaustion caught up to me, and I'm realizing how much I value my sleep. And at 12 sharp, I have just passed out. Today obviously is an exception because I spent 2 hours watching edits, but it's okay. It's okay. I feel like after the week I had, I deserve it. And this honestly feels like a lifetime ago. And the only thing, at least I hope I get out of this right now, is, and I know this may be like a full circle moment to the beginning of this episode when I was saying I'm cheap. I just want to be financially compensated for the 2 flights, at least for the 1 flight. And I know you can come out here and say like, oh, but like they provided you with a hotel. Yeah, and they made my life completely stressful, and like just like basically ruined my family's life for a little bit, because everybody was worried whether I would make it out or not. And I know like they technically can come up with the argument of, oh, these are conditions that are outside of our control. We cannot control the weather. We can only compensate for stuff that is within the airline's control. But a girl can hope. A girl can hope that at least I get my check, I get my bag. Because I nearly lost my suitcase because of them. That was so fucking stressful. And I just feel like in that situation, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. And I feel like at least I have a story for the podcast, right? Right? At least that. I mean, like, that was just such an excruciating thing for me to experience physically, emotionally, and mentally, but at least I have content for the podcast. So that's something, right? Right? Yeah, when I tell you the alone time, oh my God, I just feel like I need to celebrate with some floor time. You know what? That's exactly what I'm going to do right now before I go to bed. Uh, Going to bed meaning me opening Instagram just to watch some more heated rivalry edits. But it's okay. It's okay. I feel like after what I've been through, I deserve it. But I want to thank you all so much for listening to this story, even though it was not Connor's story. While I did not appreciate the experience as I was living through it, I appreciate having a story to tell. I appreciate just proving that I'm a trooper, I'm a soldier, and like honestly, I am that bitch. I'm the shit. Like honestly, like this to me proved that whatever is thrown at me, I can deal with in ways that are even surprising to me, in better ways than I expected. So shout out to me. At least, like, if no one is going to give me a pat on the back, at least I can give myself that. But yeah, I want to thank you all so much for listening to this episode. It ended up being way longer than I expected, but it's okay. I just really wanted to provide you with the nitty-gritty, and because this is a story for you, but it's also a story for me to reminisce back on it, even though I don't know if this is something I want to remember despite the things it showed me and proved to me about myself and the lessons I learned. But it ended up being a longer episode than I expected, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, watch Heated Rivalry, get hooked on watching the edits. Just maybe consider again what saving 200 euros or like 100 euros is going to cost you, because apparently going for the cheaper option always ends up costing you more. But it's okay, because, we have a story to tell. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I should say stay away from Air Serbia, because like every single situation I have had with them has been like this. I don't know if it's an airline issue. I don't know if it's a me issue. I don't know if we're both problematic and we just match each other's freaks. I really don't know. All I know is that, again, I'm very, very thankful that I arrived safely, even though I arrived a few days after I was scheduled to arrive. I'm happy we arrived safely, we're healthy, we're alive. And again, I want to thank you all so much for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed the story more than I enjoyed living through it. I hope to see you in the next episode. But until then, stay hydrated, wear sunscreen, and don't support genocide. Bye!